I remember being really afraid of death when I was a little kid. I clearly remember going to my mom one time in the middle of the night and waking her up and saying, "Am I going to die?" And she was really sleepy because I just woke her up. And she kind of rolled over to me and she said, "What brought that on?" And I said, "Well, I was in my room and I was thinking about dying. You know, I'd lost a couple of pets and seen a couple of people die on TV. It was really on my mind." And my mom said, being the honest person she was, "Sure, we're all going to die. Everybody dies. But you're not going to die for a long time because you're just a little boy. So don't worry about it." But I did. I worried about it all the time. And then when I started school, and my parents sent me to that parochial school, the Catholic school, and they started telling me that there was a place called hell, and that we were all born filled with sin, and if we didn't do just the right things, that God was going to stick our asses in hell. So here I was, a kid already afraid of dying, and I had adults pointing to me and telling me that I was a sinner. I was dirty. And that I was worthless and a piece of shit. And that the only way to redeem me was if I accepted the gift that a man who lived 2,000 years ago gave me by being nailed to a plank and slaughtered. You can imagine how that went through my mind. So up until I was about, I think, 10, because I wasn't a very worldly kid, I really believed in it. I believed everything. I swallowed it all. And then one day, my brother came into the room and caught me praying. He said, "What are you doing?" My brother was about 8 years older than me. I said, "I'm praying. I'm praying before I go to bed." He said, "You don't have to do that." And I said, "Really?" I said, "If I don't do it, I'll probably go to hell." He said, "There is no hell." And that shocked me because, I was taught all my life, up to that point, that there was a place called hell, there was a creature called God, and that I was evil and worthless, and that if I didn't do what God said, I was going to go to hell. And here was my brother, a kid, who didn't believe in God. And I had a funny reaction to it. I actually got afraid from my brother, because I thought, this dumbass is going to go to hell. So I said, there is a place called hell. There is a God. And if you don't get your shit together, you're going to go to hell. And I was really upset. And he just kind of laughed at me and walked away. And I finished praying. I kept praying like that for a couple of years. And then I started seeing the world around me. And doubts started to creep in. I was a Christian for most of my life. The same kind of Christian most of you are. The kind who really doesn't believe a fucking thing that's said. Because let's face it, it doesn't make any sense. It didn't even make sense to me as a kid. But I was told, that's just the way it is, you believe it. Bullshit. And then as I got older, the bullshit just became harder and harder for me to believe. I stuck with Christianity way over 30 years. I used to tell people it was over 40 years, but I'm now thinking it's like over 30 years if I do the math. But that's still a long time to be a Christian. And, you know, in high school, I studied science. Science which contradicts a shitload of what Christianity says. But I still had that fear. I still laid in bed at night with that fucking fear. What if I die? Am I going to go to a horrible place and burn forever? What if there is a God? And what if I'm such a prick, he's going to put me in hell? My entire childhood was wasted by that shit. By the time I made it to adulthood, I'd gone from a believer to an agnostic, but I still told people that I was a Christian because of that passage in the Bible that says, if you deny me, I'll deny you. So I didn't deny him. As a matter of fact, like a fucking hypocrite, I held on to him until I became an atheist. I don't remember what day it was, or days. I just know that there was a subtle shift from this is bullshit to this is such bullshit that I don't accept it. I started seeing other people that didn't believe, and it kind of gave me hope. Because the most important thing to me throughout my life has been, you know, what's going to happen when I die? That's right. My life was wasted thinking that shit. So when I finally became an atheist, with the help of a lot of science and an open mind, I was filled with the greatest sense of relief, greater than you can ever imagine. Not just relief for me, but relief for every one of my relatives that died before me. My parents, you know, everybody that died. Now I'm an atheist. How much you call a strong atheist, I guess. And when I think about adults putting that shit into the heads of children, I want to stop them. I want to stop them, and I want to shake them, and I want to say, why would you fuck your kid's life up like that? Why would you make your child's entire life about death? And why in the fucking world would you tell your kids, your tiny little innocent kids, that they're sinful scum in need of redemption? You know, they just might buy that shit like I did and waste a good chunk of their lives on that crap. A lot of Christians out there say, you're just angry. Yeah, I am. And I'm not ashamed of it. I'm angry at a God who doesn't exist. And I'm angry at a bunch of adults who fed me that shit all through my life. And I'm angry that children around the world are still having that crap put into their heads. So for people like Gear Up who want to make little videos about me being angry, I'm not angry about being crippled, dude. Because my mind was crippled by religion long before my body was. And if you're thinking about teaching that shit to your kids, just don't do it. Save them. Save them a lot of pain.